I did a I did this. It's called LibriVox. Have you heard of it?
Nah.
It's like they post public domain, but like old public domain books, like pre 1500, and they give it to you, and then you narrate it, and then you can post it on LibriVox. Well, I tried one, and it was worse than Seneca. I mean, like the language
Oh
is,
my goodness.
is
Yeah. Yeah.
it's historical. So.
And then the Seneca was retranslated too, so I can't even imagine what it was before.
Yeah, exactly. I always give contributions to Tim Ferriss because he's the one who like put all that together and got the translators to be able to do that. And very thankful because the letters are definitely something I'm very glad that is out there for people to read and listen
Yeah,
to.
absolutely. That's good work that you did, man. That was a great idea.
Yeah. Hopefully to move more good ideas in the future and more collaborations, you know?
Of course, but hey, that's the power of the technology we have, man,
Hmm.
to be able to create our own versions of things that have our, or that have been previously written. Because I mean, I'll tell you what, when they were writing these things, I don't think they would have ever thought that Matthew Norman from Texas or Ryan Cullen from Massachusetts in the United States would be rereading their work for everyone to listen to. I don't think so. So it's crazy what technology has done.
Well, especially someone like Marcus Aurelius.
Yeah.
He didn't even mean to publish this thing. And then now it's the most read Stoic philosophy, a book on Stoic philosophy ever written. And
Yeah.
then on top of that, it's actually one of the most read philosophy books ever written. So,
It was the first philosophy book I ever read.
really.
Yeah, it was my first one. I don't even know why I picked it. I just got it. And I was just like, oh yeah, that sounds cool. Meditations, yeah, whatever. And then I read it and I was like, whoa, this is deep, man. Like this is some serious stuff. This is crazy. Though when he talked about how animals are just like they just live by the law of nature and how we don't do that because we think too much. And I was just like, yo, that's so true, man. Like we're not where is our purpose? Where's our definiteness, man? It's just it's up and down all the time.
Yeah, and that's the side effect of being aware of yourself and having an imagination and being able to choose.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
And we don't always choose right. I'll tell you right now. I'll
yeah,
tell you.
yeah, but it's also that got us well technology. It got us innovation. It got us to pretty much ruling the animal kingdom. So
This device right here, this damn thing that I'm holding in my hand is like almost the most intelligent thing you could have ever had in your life right here, besides yourself. This thing is so powerful and it's in the palm of your hand, depending if you get the Pro Max or whatever. But it's this is incredible. This is a supercomputer in your hand. This is a supercomputer.
Mhm.
I think it's what is it? The law of technology is every 2 years we double our capacity, right? So remember the iPhones when they first came out, man, they were probably half this size and they were probably ugly as crap. You know what I mean? They were ugly as crap. They didn't look great. But and then inside, I don't know what the memory was, probably like 100, like 50 gigabytes or something. It was tiny. It was whatever. It was probably 2 gigs. But then you look at it, man. Look at this thing. It's not that much bigger. And this thing can hold up to 2 terabytes of information or 1 terabyte. You know how much that is? That can, I believe they said 1 terabyte can fit the entire library of like the World Library or something like that, all texts.
Yeah, I think it was the Library of Congress or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Immense amount of words, right? Immense amount of information, and probably still have a lot of room to spare.
Mhm.
So, it's incredible what we've done with this. It's also incredible how we've misused it. We've misused it a lot.
I mean, it's the greatest tool known to man. And you know, you can do a lot of things with a hammer.
Yes, you can.
Depends on the wheel.
Yeah. Yes, you can. You can build a skyscraper or you can tear down a life. It's a crazy thing, right? I mean, look at the 40s, man. Look at the atom bomb. You know, we took we that was where technology really kind of blew the world literally um away. You know what I'm saying? We took something that destroyed an entire country, or entire city. Well, pretty much the country, right? The country never um of course, it was a response to something that happened to us, but still, the country was never the same, man. We absolutely just created a mass destruction item. And then
Mhm.
as time went on, we had the Cold War, we had the tech wars, right? Technology continues to grow through radio, through television. And now we have AI. We can just have technology create and make work for us, you know? And I think one of the craziest things is the what is it, the singularity, where the people are waiting for the day, or it's called the singularity or something like that, where it'll be the first time AI can reason for itself better than we can. And it's like almost sentient. That's crazy. That's why I always say thank you when I say, "Hey Siri," and I ask it to do something. I always say thank you, man, because you never know. It could be listening, yo.
Yeah. And the thing is about that, I think it'll be able to wield everything perfectly because it has such a high like computation power. Like they
Yeah.
were talking about I read something about chess AI. So if whoever's not familiar with chess AI, it used to be that Stockfish used to be the big chess AI. And what it would do is it would just blunt force computate all the possible all computations of a move and then move. And then there was a new AI that came out. I think it's called Alpha AI, something like that. But what it would do is it wouldn't computate everything, but it would learn from every subsequent mistake
Mhm.
and then go. And so it had a lower process, like computation power, or it didn't computate it much, but it actually learned how to get better at it. And Alpha I like the first day it learned chess, it was beating Stockfish. And then it
Yeah.
went to something like Go, and I think it's Chinese. Chinese is Go. I don't know.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think
but
I'm pretty
it
sure it's
is
yeah.
okay. Hey, but more complicated. And by the second day, it was beating like the best like AI there were. So I think for the future of AI, it's going to be something like learning AI learning to be better than what it is right now. And
Do you
then
do you think AI is learning how to just be like us?
no,
No.
I don't think like us, but I think it's trying to, well, not trying to, but it'll get to a point where it's just gonna learn what the best options for every option and known to man, and then just do those options because that's the best option.
Right.
So it probably like take all of human experience, learn what the best options and what the best responses were, and then just computate and do those responses.
What do you think of it? Are you fearful of AI? Are you supporting it? Do you look forward to the implications of what AI can do or just technology in general?
Yeah, I am not in the field, so I can't really say like looking at Elon Musk and how scary he is. I am a little scared,
Mhm.
but I'm also I I think it will get to a point. I think this is what's going to happen. So you know how dogs kind of don't understand and the like level of thinking and consciousness of a human, and but humans still care for the dog, not even care for the or the dogs, but are kind of just owners of the dog.
Yeah,
It's
we domesticate them.
yeah, yeah. I kind of think it'll be the next level of that, something like that. But
So, okay, go for it. Go for
but I don't necessarily think, I, man, this is a hard topic
it.
because most of my arguments come from Everything is Fucked by Mark Manson. He talks a lot about this at the very end of the book, and it's freaking brilliant because he just talks about how AI will know how to please us and how to get us into a perpetual, like Brave New World by Aldous Huxley, where it's just like there's in that book, there's little butt earphones they put in, and then they're giving pleasure-seeking drugs, which gets them into a perpetual sense of bliss and
Yeah,
ignorance. So I
yeah.
think AI would be able to do that and easily, and that kind of where I'm thinking they'll go with it.
How do you think that? So are you thinking in terms of like the metaverse, or are you thinking in terms of like AI creating its own world, or us being automated by AI, for example? Like, you have the cyber trucks and the Teslas being able to drive themselves. You're gonna have these robots being able to do things for us.
Yeah.
So are we as humans creating our own utopia where we don't have to make any of our own decisions?
Yeah, yeah, definitely think that because we're already practically there with phones. It's like we think a lot of us think we're the masters of the phone, but really the phone's the master of us. Like I can't even go into the sauna without seeing everyone on their phone.
Mm,
And oh, if I took a phone from someone and said, "Hey, live without it for a day," how many people would actually be able to do that?
be tough, especially for people who've made their occupations on their phone. I mean, look at all the
Mhm.
social media influencers and people who are on TikTok or people who use their phones daily for life, business execs, things like that. But I think one of the biggest problems is that we've allowed we've allowed a society where you and me have access to each other at all times, right? Back in the day, man, if I saw you at school, man, and I went home, I'm not talking to you until the next day. You could pass away and I won't know until I have to see you again. Like I'm not gonna get updates. I'm not gonna get, you know what I'm saying? You can get this brand new bike. You win the lottery and I'll never see you again. I wouldn't even know if you exist because I don't have access to you. You know, you talk to me on the phone is that's the only time you can sorry, before the phone. You see me in school, you write a little letter or something. That's all I got. You know what I'm saying? So I think one of the most dangerous parts about the phone is that the lack of privacy. And we've allowed ourselves to be so accustomed to always having access to each other. And it's like we're entitled to each other's time. So I think if you took away my phone, well, if you took away anyone's phone for a day, it would be a shock, to anyone, because that's not only just the things that you do on your phone, but it's the things other people do with that communication, with
Mhm.
that entryway into your life. Your parents can't call you, your friends can't call you, your your girl or your boyfriend can't call you, so it's like all communication is null. You got to go back to writing them letters, or just sitting there and being by yourself, which so that's tough for a few folks out there. It's tough for anyone, especially as a human being.
Yeah, I think there was a quote, it's like all of the world's problems can be solved if humans can just sit in a room with themselves for an hour.
Seriously, yes, yes. I mean, I seriously think about that. Can you do that? Just sit in a room by yourself for an hour, and let's say you just meditate for an hour. Can you do that? How many people can just sit there by themselves and do nothing? That's not easy. Even meditation is hard
Oh
for,
yeah.
for 10 minutes. Your mind is like a whole nother person, man.
Mhm.
So how do you control what you seemingly can? And but that's life, dude. That takes time. And I think it's harder to do that when we have technology blaring on our ears and and our faces all the time. We can't even hear ourselves think.
Yeah, to go back to the interconnectivity too, it's and that dictates our relationship, how we see our relationships too. Like you were talking about how we're always connected with each other. Now, at least what I see with many teenagers, if they're not with their friends, as in texting them or calling them more than 5 or 10 minutes, it's almost like they're not friends anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, like
Yep.
it's the same with
Oh
us.
my
It's
God.
the same with us too. You
Oh,
know?
you're hitting a heartstring here, man, because I'm the type of person where I don't have to talk to you for like 2 months, and then I'll be fine, like, and we'll be okay. Like, it's not a big deal, you know what I mean? But some people just can't do that. And then, of course, I've seen a lot, especially with younger folk and kind of with people our age, we can't hang out with each other anymore without having phones. It's a tough thing. Like we can't actually be in a physical space with another human being without having our phone be some part of the equation, right? I mean, think about dinner dates with people, man. You know, especially with someone you don't know. How many people bring out their phone? You know, basic conversation. You hang out with your boys these days, and now people are just on their phones. And I'm like, yo, like let's talk, man. Like I don't care about what you see on your phone. I don't care about that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know the next time I'm going to see you. We could die tonight. Our life could be over, you know? So I think technology has almost made us feel immortal in a way.
What
It
you think of me? Yeah.
it's made us not be present at all. Like, and we just forget the fact that we don't have a guaranteed spot in this world, but we're so ingrained with what we see and hear that other human interactions don't seem as interesting anymore, or our own mortality does not seem as interesting anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very dangerous thing.
Biggest pet peeve whenever I'm trying to date is if you're on your phone when I'm talking to you. It's automatic.
Yeah.
I don't even want to talk to you anymore. I'm good.
Next,
Yeah,
get out of here.
literally.
Get out. No, it's next.
Out.
No,
Like
seriously.
thankfully I haven't went on a date that someone has done that,
Yeah.
but I would not feel bad on myself if after the second time they do that, I just get up and it's like, I'm sorry, you're wasting my time. I'm gonna do something else with my
Yeah, and there's always something to be said about engagement, right? Like, of course, we can ask questions and we can engage the other person, and but he has the thing too. If you're bored, if someone is not interested, why would you go on your phone? Why don't you take life into your hands and then make it either interesting or you leave, right? Um, you seem like the type of person that is pretty present. So I'm assuming that when you go on dates or when you meet new people, whether it's friends or whatever, you're usually kind of connected with them and you're trying to get to know them, right? But some people just aren't in the mood to do that, which is, you know, that's their prerogative. But why would that person then not reciprocate it back, or they would sit there and make it worse, right?
Mhm.
So I think that's more of a younger issue. I don't really see people my age doing that. Um, I think that's more of like a young, maybe 20s, early 20s, teenager type thing, or late teens, maybe mid 20s.
Mhm.
But I definitely have seen that. I've definitely been there, and I've done it. I've absolutely
Yeah,
done it. And
yeah.
I'm not gonna be a hypocrite here. I've done it many times, especially when I was younger. And I learned, it just makes for an awkward environment. You know what I mean? Because whatever's going on my phone is definitely not that important, right?
Mhm.
Um, we were talking about the implications of technology and morality, and I think that's part of it, right? I think people have almost lost basic forms of manners, etiquette, right? People morally just are okay more with seeming interested in something else or multitasking. I think a lot of people, and myself included, have said, "Oh, I'm multitasking. I can multitask, right? I can do this and do that and do X, Y, Z and A, B, C, but I can't." You know what I mean? It's the jack of all trades, but master of none. You
Mhm.
can't do five different things and be proficient in any of them. You have to focus on one thing at a time. I'll never forget my old boss from my old company, Roger, one of the best guys I know. Is an awesome dude, good friend of mine. He always used to say, Ryan, one thing at a time. And I was back then, I was just like, man, this is just, I get it. Okay, yeah, at work, one thing at a time. But that's a world philosophy, man. That is a everyday philosophy, regardless if you're at the workplace, if you're in a relationship, if you're doing your personal hobbies, if you're cleaning up your house, one thing at a time. Because you cannot do two things at a time efficiently. It's impossible because you're not AI. You're not a robot, you know? Um, that's where I think technology can help by allowing us to take some of those little things and letting technology do it. I think that's the original point of it was to make part the convenience. Um, but again, we abuse it, man. We absolutely abuse it.
Yeah, and definitely to go on that point, I, the insignificant things. So the insignificant. Oh, I can't even speak. I swear to God, it's like every time we get on a podcast. But yeah, just the things that are important. That so my friend works at Amazon, and they have robots to pick up heavy boxes and then to organize everything. And then that allows humans to do some of the more complicated and more important work
Yeah.
rather than having to break themselves down when they don't need to do that.
Wait, this is an Amazon warehouse?
Yeah, he works at an Amazon
They
warehouse.
got robots picking boxes up? Oh, that's sick. That's
Yeah,
cool,
yeah, it's
man.
awesome. They're
Cool.
yeah, it's crazy nowadays with stuff. And then did you see the Tesla bots too?
I did, man. I did see the Tesla bots. Yeah.
Freaking weird.
I just saw a video today. This is company. I don't remember where they're from, but they're called like Euratech or something. They're called Unitree. And they
Unitree?
Unitree. And they're making these bionic, agile ass robots, man. Like they got seriously, I thought it was fake at first. They're so fluid and so mobile. They look like little they had this thing that's kind of like had four legs, had wheels on it. And man, this thing was doing like Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3. All right, it was doing flips and kick flips and going on. And then they had a robot that was jogging and running and was adjusting itself to the terrain, but it looked so surreal, man. Like it was incredible because I know that's not easy to do. That's programming, that's robotics, that's mechanics, that's electrical engineering. That's like the whole everything you
Everything.
could think
Yeah.
of. So the fact that Amazon has those robots being able to do that, that's incredible. Because
Mhm.
the first thing about warehousing is you're probably going to hurt yourself because they're picking
Oh,
things.
yeah, yeah.
If you
That's
don't
my
have
whole job.
the right equipment, man, your back is going. Like that's it. I know Amazon, well, I know they ain't picking up flower pots, right? So they're picking
Mhm.
up all types of stuff. So good
Yeah,
on them. I'm happy for that.
yeah. For the Air Force, I pretty much do warehouse, but putting it on the planes. And one of the biggest thing is you don't wear rings because have you heard about this? The
Oh, you don't wear
degloving?
rings?
Yeah, because so if you have a ring on your finger, and you pushing something up, pushing something down, something drops and catches on the ring, it can rip the skin and deglove that f finger.
Whoa, whoa.
Yeah,
What?
yeah, yeah,
Oh man.
it's no,
That's that's metal, man.
yeah, it's literally.
That's metal, dude. Absolutely horrifying to think about, but yeah, that's metal. Oh man, that makes me think of those horrible accidents that happen at like industrial plants. Oh my God. Have you seen some of those?
Mm,
Oh, they're horrible. I'll send you one. I'll send you a bad one. You know, it's a famous one actually. It was called this Russian guy got caught in something called a lathe, I think it was called. And it's like a spinning machine. It spins super fast. And then the guy just he got caught in it. Yeah, it was not. It's not good. It's not good. I'll send it to you. It's terrible. But yeah, man, machine that kind of stuff like safety in workplaces is so important. So I'm glad that Amazon is doing something for that. You
yeah,
know, I don't know how they're really treating their employees otherwise, but at least they're helping in that way.
yeah. It's a, I get a, I get, I hear different things
Yeah,
about Amazon, and I don't think we need to necessarily go that route. We can talk on the phone about that, and because that's another can of worms.
yeah, yeah. It
But
is.
did want to go back to the phone and you talking about immortality, and I, maybe there's a connection too of just people, uh, just sitting in a room, but whenever you're in conversation with people, people just can't stand boredom,
Yeah,
like boredom with
yeah,
another person.
yeah. And and I wonder where that started. You know, um, gone. Well, silence is like not a thing anymore. And we have, especially for people who are very emotionally intact with other people, right? Who want to always kind of make sure everyone's good and stuff like that. I can imagine how difficult it is when people are silent because you're thinking that, oh, they're not having fun or they're not enjoying themselves or they hate me or something like that. But the older you get, man, I'm like, yo, silence is golden. I understand what they mean by that. Silence is golden, man. To be able to just sit there, well, with someone else especially, and not feel any anxiety, not feel any need to please, not feel any need to do anything because you're good. And you would hope the other person's good too, but you know what? If they're not, no, that's on them, man.
Yeah.
But but technology has done that. It's noise. We have constant noise. Like how do you, Matt, deal with noise?
Oh, I do not disturb if I actually don't. Like I have it, like I put a time, you said 45 minutes, right? So I put a timer on for 45 minutes, but I put do not disturb. It's not going to ring besides the alarm. And
Yeah.
that's what I do for meditation. That's what I do for, well, also whenever I run by myself with my dog, I don't take the phone. You know,
Yeah, why?
um,
Why do you take in your exactly?
I just tell someone where I'm going so they know if anything happens, they know where to find me, and then I just go. So,
I equate this to being when I was a kid. When I was 15 years old, I got my first cell phone. I got a Motorola flip phone, and I was like, yeah, 15, a sophomore high school. And man, that thing was cool, man. I was like, yo, I got my own phone, man. I got it's like the little numpad and whatever. And but the main purpose of this phone was to be in contact with my parents. Was to make sure they knew where I was and everything like that. And I think as life goes on, that methodology of having the phone has now transformed into that everybody has access to at all times. That girl you just met, your boss, your parents, your friend, people on and social media is another thing, but etc. And and that's like I almost feel like we don't want to have our phones with us. We want to keep our phones with us because of that old ideology, because of like, oh, what if someone needs me or what if I need somebody else or what if I get hurt? Yo, it's gonna be fine. Okay, it's gonna be okay. Because what did we do in 2002, right? Or 1999 or whatever year before people had phones? We figured it out.
mhm.
We got there when we got there. Okay, we played hide and seek, and we like went outside, and we people would just talk to each other. So it's just a different way of thinking about it. It's just a different mindset that we have with communication. We've become over communicated, I
Yeah,
think.
and people don't feel safe without their phone. You know,
Mm,
like if you uh, take someone's phone away and tell them, "Hey, go to downtown," they're
mm,
like, well, how do I get there? It's like, what do you mean by that? And do you mean I have to go downtown by myself without my phone? You know how dangerous that is? And then you get all the anxious thoughts because you're not connected to someone, and it's not a safety net, and
yeah,
you don't know, oh, what's gonna happen. So definitely, it's like I think one way that people can get a little braver and more courageous is just to put their phone away sometimes and
mhm,
just walk around without it or leave the house without it sometimes, just to understand, oh, I can take care of myself. I
yeah.
don't need someone to call and come get me. I can do this myself. Of course, it's good to have a phone, but
It is. Have you ever left your phone home while you went to work?
no, I haven't done that before. Not yet.
Usually by accident, right? But
Yeah.
it's
But I
again,
don't take it like the gym too. It's like I do take it in and because it's my timer for the sauna, but whenever I'm working out and stuff, it's in the locker. I don't look at it either. So I've definitely for me, I've definitely tried in specific times in my life not to have my phone. So
yeah,
I could just have that feeling again of, oh, I'm good. I'm good. I'll be fine.
yeah. But I also want to say, I gotta say this too. There are some positives to having this phone, to having
Yes.
technology, man. I mean, to be able to call anyone at any time is a blessing, especially if it's like a friend or for you, for example,
Mhm.
or having music. Music is therapy for a lot of people. You know what I mean? It's having to be able to listen to music through your phone, through a Bluetooth headset, no wires, no nothing, through the cloud or stream or whatever. That's incredible. You know? I mean, think of the streaming art. Think of artists who we think of how we had to rely on physical CDs, right? Now people can post anything online and anyone can listen to it at any time. I mean, there's no plug here, but I use YouTube Music, and I love YouTube Music because I'm able to listen to anything. It doesn't need to be an official artist on Spotify. It can be just some random Joe Schmo who puts out a song on YouTube for free, and I can listen to it through a YouTube Music app. It's great. Um, what else? What else? What else is technology really helping us
So,
out?
so for me specifically, as a writer, and of course, someone of philosophy as well, so I do a lot more nonfiction now, and it's such a blessing to get into my writing and I find like for example, I was thinking of the unique characteristics of human beings, and I think it's like something like self-consciousness, choice, like independent will, imagination, and then Stephen Covey talks about this as well, and he includes consciousness, and I was like, I just don't know about consciousness. I just don't know about that. And when I got there on my writing, I just did a deep dive on consciousness.
Yeah.
And I just figure out, okay, what are the modern theories of consciousness? What is modern neuroscience talking about? And then I got a in-depth understanding, well, not an in-depth understanding, but a good brief understanding of what's happening in neuroscience right now, with the theories behind consciousness, and gave me a better understanding of what I'm writing about. And it happened within an hour
What's
instead of going
yeah,
to the library or having to go to the university.
exactly, right? And let's say you don't have a car, right? People who don't have modes of transportation, that's how they need information. What is consciousness to you?
Oh. But I think I don't think a lot of people will agree with me on what consciousness is. Because I think a lot of people think of consciousness as self-awareness, imagination, choice, and also us being humans, being conscious and aware. But I think consciousness is more of agency, interaction with the world and with life in general. And I know that's a really broad definition, but I think I I kind of want it that way because I think for something like humans, we just have more of a developed consciousness rather than we're conscious and dogs aren't or animals aren't.
Hmm.
Because if you just say a humans are conscious, then why are we conscious? Well, you find out it's more just because we have imagination, because we have self-awareness, and because we have independent will. So you either have to consider, say, okay, all those three make consciousness, or consciousness is something separate. And I think for me, consciousness is something separate.
Yeah. Sounds like it's a culmination of just so many different things,
Right.
right? Yeah. I would say for me, consciousness is just the ability to make a choice. To be alive, to, like you said, see your surroundings. And again, for me, it's also a collection of different ideas, but they all boil down to being able to make a decision, a choice, to take your life in whatever direction you want because you are alive. The only time you don't have a conscience is when you're dead.
Yeah.
So, unless your soul is a conscience, but that's a whole nother that's a whole nother
That
topic.
is wild.
That's a whole nother topic. I don't even know if that's even true. So,
You want me to tell you what I kind of learned with the modern consciousness and what they think and
yeah, of
stuff like
course,
that?
I want to hear it.
Yeah, I'll try my best as because it was the first day I did research on it.
Yeah.
But essentially, there's two big theories right now for consciousness. It's hot, which is higher order theory, and global workspace theory. Uh, Higher order thinking is so you have you have where uh, your first order is being able to look at something and say, oh, black, oh, red, water, 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 blue, just pretty much experiencing the world. Higher order or thinking is that self-reflection about the world. So, oh, that's black. It also looks like wrinkles. Being able to reflect and think about how what you're experiencing.
Yeah.
So that's one idea of consciousness that people are thinking about. And the other one is the one I lean more towards is the global workplace theory. And let me try to explain this as best I can. It's essentially it's like a spotlight. So it's a spotlight that your brain and focuses on. And the longer it focuses on it, the more consciousness you get and with it with more our definition. So, oh, for example, oh, like it's kind of the workspace is something that's like like metaphorically in your brain, but it's your whole brain working together to form this spotlight on a specific like, uh, like object, scene, sound, or something like that. So the example they used was if you're reading a book and then you hear a sound, your whole workspace and spotlight is gonna now shift to that sound and then focus on it. And the more you focus on it, the more or you're going to be thinking about it. And the more you think about it, is more conscious as you are about it.
I
So
see. Yeah.
that's my understanding of it. I don't know if I did it perfectly, but that's what do you think about them?
Well, you know what it made me think of? It's gonna sound crazy, but it makes me think of my cat. So My cats are animals in general are very good at being present because my cat will look out the window and stare out the window for 30 minutes straight without moving. Like but and then a pin drop and her ears perk. Her attention is diverted, right? But she's still looking forward. So I kind of guess I kind of take that as consciousness is almost like a pie, you know? You either 100% of the pie is focused on one thing, but any sort of abnormality, and then some of that pie is now taken away. You now lost some of the consciousness you had gained. Can you get it back? Yes, you can. But it's gone. So you now have to work to get that back through whatever brain activity you're using. Then you could look for a human aspect, you can think of meditation, right? You can think of sitting still and just closing your eyes and being in your head and focusing, consciously focusing on nothing. Because I mean, for me, at least when I meditate, I try to think of nothing, which is impossible. So you got to focus on something. That's why they say focus on your breath, right? But your breath is a physical attribute. It's physical. It's an action. It's not really a thought because you breathe automatically. So, in a sense, your consciousness is put in a void of nothing. Now, something can break it, but it depends on how deep of a consciousness you're in, right? If I'm really not that if my consciousness is what's the word I'm looking for? I'll just say if it's constitutionally weak, then anything can break it. But if it's strong foundation, my consciousness cannot be broken. So no matter whatever happens around me, I'm able to not focus. I'm able to just blot it out. That is a strong consciousness. Can we get to that point? It takes a lot of time. It takes so much power, brain power, willpower, spiritual power to get to that point.
And you're
So I
conditioned. Yeah,
yeah, that too, practice. I kind of like that global workspace theory though,
I
because
do. Yeah.
that's essentially a good way of looking at consciousness as a way to the things around you have so much pull. So what can you stay focused on? What's going to pull you?
Yeah. Like it too because I was thinking about it with my writing and in any like artistic or any like intellectual endeavor is because that spotlight whenever you first look at something you're starting to actualize it and you only start to fully understand the picture once you take the time to actually get into it and that's the same with writing and artistic. Heck, it's like when you first start off it's always hard. It's
Oh
always
yeah.
hard to
Yeah.
get into the writing or get into the painting or getting into the music. But once you've focus yourself and have the discipline to keep going, I think this is where the spotlight comes in. It start to focus it.
Yeah.
And then your whole brain is starting to kind of cue into that and focus with you. And I think, and I just realized this too, and I think that's how your neurons work too, because your neurons actually move to different and aspects of your brain depending on what you're doing, and that's what uh, instances of flow happen is neurons actually move to your frontal cortex and stay there or to produce that work. So I can see how the this global workspace would be a nice way of doing understanding consciousness because it is your brain's an organism trying to uh, work out the things in your environment.
And it's a good way of learning how we get so ingrained in our phones. I mean, have you ever looked at your phone for like an hour straight? Maybe you haven't, but I have, I mean, scrolling, man, like just scrolling. I remember back in the day, I would scroll for a while
Yeah.
just on Facebook or my Instagram or YouTube. And I didn't have to take no Adderall. I didn't have to take anything to focus. It's that. It's the consciousness and I don't know how they do it, but they created a device that is able to do exactly what you said, to move our neurons to the front of our cortex to allow us to find consciousness through doing this and not looking at anything else. And maybe that's why people bring out their phones when they're around people
Well,
because
it's also deeply connected to gambling.
yeah, that
So,
too.
and that's why nature, or there was this interest, I don't know where I read it from, but interesting correlation between gambling and nature. It's the unpredictability of it. So, those people on the slot machines, they do it and they just keep doing it. And what researchers found is it's not the money they're doing it for. They're doing it for the unpredictability because they don't know what's going to happen next.
Yeah,
So they
yeah.
keep doing it and doing it. Same with nature, or that's why nature's so powerful, is because you go into nature and you don't know what animals you're going to find. You don't know what kind of people you're going to see. And then you don't know what kind of plants, ants. And every time you go, oh, there might be a different tract of animals, all tracks within it. And relate it back to your phone, that's what social media is every time you swipe, it's the unpredictability of what am I going to see next? Oh, look at that. There's the
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, what you're gonna see next. So it's that unpredictability, and because of that unpredictability and the satisfaction of finding it out continuously makes it addictive. But yeah, what's your last thoughts?
No, exactly that, man. I think I mean we talked about just the technology and just all the different parts of technology, how it can help. We mostly talked about how it has hurt, but it is no without a secret, technology has helped. And I think if we just as people learn how to dial it back and go back to the human aspect of things, I think we can harmoniously live with technology without it taking over our lives. I mean, I don't know. It makes me think of the movie I, Robot with Will Smith. One of my favorite movies, man. But that movie was a great example of how we over rely on technology and how technology itself can, when it's smart enough, make its own decisions, which may not benefit us. So I'm excited for technology. I think it's great. I just think we need to have better control over ourselves with it.